Okay, we're in the middle of the sugya of Oinos Devarim, and how sphere Oinos Devarim is misuse of language regarding hurting people. So we're on Nun Ches Amid Beis. Nun Ches Amid Beis. We're up to where the lines get wide. Count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Ben Yochai. Gadol Oinos Devarim Me'Oinos Mammon. Greater is the Oinos Devarim than overcharging a person when it comes to monetary matters. The pasuk we saw the other day, it says right? We saw that the other day, but it comes to the pasuk of Oinos Devarim. But it says Altonu Yishasachim. It says Altonu, do not go ahead right and overcharge him, but doesn't say what Melekecha. That this is what's one thing. Begufay, we go ahead and Oinos Devarim is Begufay. Kitfach Abrami. We're on Nun Ches Amid Beis, about 6 lines from the bottom. This is with Oinos Devarim is with his guf, and obviously Oinos the Mammon is with his monetary. So it's much worse. It's much worse that when you hurt somebody like Ben Adam Chavero, rather than you hurting him in his pocketbook, hurting him with words is worse. Shmuel bar Nachmani Oinos Devarim is you can go ahead and correct it, right? You just pay the difference of the Oinah. But there's no backseas on embarrassing and hurting somebody, no matter what. Tani Tana Kamed Rav Nachman Yitzchak, a cider of Baisa said in front of Rav Yitzchak, Kol Malbim Pnei Chaver Barabim. Anyone who goes ahead and embarrasses his friend, he will shayfech damim. It's like what? It's like he spills his blood. Amle Shapik Ha'amit, the Chazina lay the Ozel Sumka, that the red leaves, the Osa Chavra and comes white. A little Taisus, fellas. Fifth Taisus down. The Ozel Sumka Osi Chivra. Umashe Mamidim Betchila. Why does it get red initially? The Fisha Hadomim Misastin Levroyach. When a person's embarrassed, the blood is rushing to get away. So it's like you're killing the guy. Malbim Pnei Chaver Rabin. Lashon Malbim Pnei Chaver, we touch embarrassment. Malbin, the lashon of love on, fellas. You're going ahead, you're making his face white, you're losing his blood, you're causing him such a distress. So that's Amalei Abayel of Dimi b'Marova b'Maisahiri, right? In Eretz Yisrael, what are they careful about? Amalei ba'achbei ba'ape. By embarrassing them, they're making their faces white. Amar Rav Chanina, Akol Yordan l'Gehenim chutz mishloisha. 3 people go to Gehenim except 3. Everyone goes to Gehenim. What do you mean? Anyone who goes down to Gehenim comes up. 2, 3 sheyordim, they go down. Ve'ein oilim, they don't come up. Ve'eluhein haba leishasir, someone who is an adulterer. V'malbim pnei chaver barabim, someone who embarrasses his friend barabim. V'mekana shem lechaveroi, a person goes ahead and goes and gives his friend an embarrassing nickname. Ein frag Gemara mekana haino malbim. It's the same thing as embarrassing him. Even though he's accustomed to having that name, right? You call the guy Shorty. His whole life, you're calling him Shorty. It's still, you would be over on this. It's a big crisis over here. Let's do a little bit of it, okay? Don't explain that they never come up. They go down, they never come up. We're going to say afterwards, someone who is adulterer. And you're telling me over here that an adulterer goes down, he doesn't come back up. So it says Taisus, it can mean it doesn't come back up. But what does it mean? Anyone who goes down comes up immediately. And the Or of Gehenim is not shoyled upon them. Yeah, they go down, they come up. So I saw a kasha from Teres Chaim, so why do they go down at all? If they're coming up right away, so he says, Mamish Kabbalistically, based upon a Zoyim Pashas Vayakel, which I perfunctorily looked at, I couldn't find it. Basically, there's something called a tefillah in Gehenim, something esoteric idea of going to Gehenim to be toveled in a shama. And even though you're not in the flames of Gehenim literally, but you can be toveled in a shama, so something like that. So according to Tosfos is qualifying when it says that they go down, they don't come up, means they don't come up immediately. They come down and then they stay down there. Back in the Gemara. Better a person be on a suffocatious ish, and rather than go ahead and be malba pnei chaver barabim. Minale, where do you know that from? Mid the Darish Rava. The Darish Rava, my Dechsiv, David writes, but Sali Samchu and Safu Koru V'lei Damu. But Sali is way is literally my stumbling. That this is the Indian of Bathsheba, David and Bathsheba, and they were happy, and they ripped me, and there was no blood. He was so embarrassed. If they would have ripped my flesh, like it wouldn't have gone ahead wide and shaisus la'aretz. Since they were inviting me so much, he was so embarrassed the blood wasn't there. Right? Even when David was being Isaac in the garment of Oilos, Imrimli, David, someone who goes ahead and it's with an Eshesish, what's the din? He gets strangulation. But what you want to do to me now by going and embarrassing me, you don't have a chelik on haba. But you see over here, I do. Now, Taisus and Rashi go into the whole Indian of David and Bathsheba regarding exactly how David was a suffragatious ish. Big machloikas Rashi and Taisus in Mesech Dachlun Vav and Shabbos. We went through it over there. I'll say it very quickly over here. According to Rashi, person would go to battle, they would go ahead and give his wife a get on it tonight. And if he didn't come back, he'd be divorced retroactively. So Uriah Chiti had not gone back yet, and therefore it was so David was boiled a suffragatious ish. At this time, she was a suffragatious ish. Right? Taisus seems to say they were divorced outright, and it's a suffix is whether you gave a get or not. Okay, those are the two halachim over here again. It's not the time to go into this Indian. The main we did as we'd say, see a related raid bite. Go see Rabbi Stern and Daf Yomi. We have it all there. Okay. Amar Zutra Bartuvia Amar Rav Imrila Amar Rav Chana Babizna Amar Reb Shimon Chasida Imrila Amar Reb Yochanan B'Shem Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. A person should throw himself into a furnace rather than embarrass someone. We know from Tamar. So the mice with Tamar that Yehuda was with Tamar. She was pregnant. She was taking David. He had given her a mashkin stick and his ring, and she's being taken out to be killed. That's also a chiddush why she's being killed. And see Ramban there. She says it says he made says she's being taken out. He sholcha el chamia, and she sent it to her friend, to her father-in-law, and said, "The one who owns this, what is the father of the child?" So she wasn't malbim pei chaver. She was willing to go ahead and she be malbim pei chaver rather than embarrass Yehuda. She was going to be in Kivshanesh. Rav Chananya Berei Rav Idi Maidich Siv Leisanu Ish Esan Misai. The pasuk says you should not go ahead. This is the pasuk by Anois Devarim fellas. Leisanu Ish Esan Misai. The word Amisai a trika Am Sheitcha but Torah uva mitzvahs al taneo. Amisai fellas. It's a contraction. Amisai. Am sheitcha. The nation that's with you. It doesn't say the word achiv, right? It could have said achiv. Why did you choose the word amisai? The amisai is that with you. Uva mitzvahs al taneo. Do not go ahead wide and abuse him. A person should be very careful when it comes to regarding speaking to his wife in such a way that would make her feel bad. Since the wife's tears are found very quickly, the punishment is very quick to come. The punishment is very quick to come. I want to share with you a Rambam, a lesson of a Rambam. Let me just get the Rambam. Hang on a second. Okay, this Rambam is in Hilchas Mechira, Perik Yudalid, Halacha Yudches. Kind of summarizes the Gemara that we said until now. Gedoyla haniyes devarim, greater is the inah regarding words towards another individual. Me'anois mamin. Shezenitin lishavin, one you can go ahead and make up by paying. Zenitin lishavin, but words not. Zeb and Mamona v'zeb gufay. Again, the Rambam is quoting the Lashon of the Gemara. Vayu oimer, b'niyes devarim, says v'yeresa me'lokecha. This is what we saw at Erev Shabbos. It says by that pasuk in Yud Zayin, it says v'yeresa me'lokecha, you should fear Hashem. If you should adav masal leif, because when you say something, it's a subject to what you really mean, and only Hashem would really know what you mean. So it says v'yeresa me'lokecha, fear Hashem. Why should you fear Hashem? Because Hashem knows what you mean. You may say one thing and mean another thing. Anything that's given over to the lave, it says and anyone who goes ahead and screams out, immediately Shnema Kini Hashem. So this what says over here, you have to be careful with it. Now, if your wife, because if you go ahead and her tears are right there, and if she cries out and she feels pain, retribution might be quick to follow. Just bears, I think, understanding. So, I mean, if you embarrass a person, that's it, you're gone. What does that mean? A girl asked me this many years ago. Girls asked me early on in my career. She asked me, she said, just I embarrassed somebody, so the rest of my life I shouldn't do any mitzvahs. I said, no, it doesn't mean that. Someone's accustomed to doing it. In other words, it's a lifestyle. You find people, we all know people that they gain in their jollies by making fun of other people, by themselves lacking their own self-esteem. They go ahead and build themselves up by putting other people down. That's what we're speaking about. We're not speaking about a person. No one on the screen can say they're guiltless of having embarrassed somebody in life. I certainly can't. I've embarrassed multiple people, but again, it's not something I do for a living. It's not something I want. I think is someone who beconvious does it and does it all the time. That's what it means, rather than the occasion that it happens. Okay, so I think it's good. I'm Rabbi Laza. Miyayim shenichar Beis Hamikdash. The time the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, nidlu shari tefillah. The shari tefillah were closed. Shenemar gam ki ezak v'ashaveya shusam tefillasi. Even when I cry out and plea, my tefillahs are not heard. Yafapi shari tefillah nenilu. Even though the shari tefillah are closed, shari demois lo nenilu. The place of tears is not. The shari of tears are not closed. Shenemar shema tefillasi Hashem v'shavasi ha'azina el demasi al tachrosh. So you hear my tefillahs, but you don't be deaf to my tears. So you see that the possibility of tears going through. Anyone who listens to his wife, life will be Gehenna. You can end up in Gehenna. Shneimar, right? Hope no one's wife's listening. Because Achav listened to the wife of his wife Ezevel. We know that he lost his chelik in Olam Haba. He's listed in the Gemara in the chelik, right? So he listened to his wife. Amalei Rav Papa Labaya. How can you tell me listening to your wife is a bad thing? It says if your wife is short, go down and whisper to her. So in other words, you should go here and listen. So when it comes to Mili de Alma, then you shouldn't listen to her. When it comes to Inyane Besa, then you listen to her. So when it says not listen to your wife, it depends. Lishnachrina, Hava Mili de Shmaya, Hava Mili de Alma. Mili de Shmaya, you should not listen to her. Mili de Alma, you can listen to her. Amrav Kista, Kala Sharim Nenalim, all the Sharim are Nenalim, Chutz Mishari Aina, except Shari Aina. So it's shver, guys. You just told me above, only Nenalim, Shari Tefillah is closed except Shari Dima, right? Only Shari Tiyas. Now you tell me all closed except what? Shari Aina. So the answer is Aina and tears are the same thing, right? You're going to cry, person's going to cry out because they've been what? They've been mistreated and spoken to in a certain way. So therefore, it's hava hatalia. It's the exact same oisei dava. Shnemar, hine Hashem nitzev al chaymas anach. Hashem is standing by the wall of anach. Ubi odoi anach. Now, if you speak out, anach is a plumb line, fellas. That a plumb line that you go ahead, you take a weight of lead, and they used to go ahead and make the wall straight. They would go ahead and hold it at the top of the brick. I don't think they still do it today, probably with lasers, but I still remember people doing it, and they would like with chalk. They would knock it down, a plumb line. So Hashem he's going ahead, and he stands in the wall with the plumb line in his hand. It's a plumb line, and it seems that the play on words Hanach is Aina. Hashem is the one who's Anach, who takes care of Aina. It's in Hashem's hand. It is not a shliach's hand. There are three that the pargud is not close in front of them. In other words, but the pargud is the curtain that separates Hashem from the Chayas HaKodesh. It's such, right? And this, when the pargud is closed, the Kaviyachal Hashem doesn't see. So when he says the pargid is not closed, it means Hashem sees, but this seeing is not a good seeing, as we're going to see. Aina, a person who's guilty of Aina, the Gezel, and Avodah Zarah. All these Hashem, the pargid is not sealed, and Hashem sees. Aina dechsivu b'yadei anach, Hashem's hand has the plumb line. Gezel dechsiv chomas v'shoid yishama ba al panai tamid. It's at my face all the time. So you see, there's no barrier. It's in his face all the time. Avodah Zarah dechsiv ha'am ha'mechasim I see al panai tamid, again panai tamid. So you see that there's no barrier. Amar Rabbi Yehuda la'olam yahi adam zayir b'tfua b'tach beisa. A person should be careful that tfua in his house. Shein le'rif b'tzui b'tach beisa shaladam el al iskei tfua. When it comes to money, shneimar hasam gvulecha shalom chaylev chitem yas biech. He makes your borders peaceful, and with the cream he satiates you. Amar Papa Hanudam Yinshi. People say. Kemishlam share mikada, nakish v'oisei tigra. If you have enough food, right? Kemishlam share mikada, nakish v'osi tigra v'besa. What does Rashi say? Mikada kad shenoisna b'sa'orim. The kad that they would put in barley. Nakish v'osi tigra hataga mikashkesh uba. Fighting comes. So when the kli is empty, when you go ahead and you shake it, I guess against the wall, you hear the coil of its echo, Allah. So it comes about by making sure, in other words, make sure there's enough food in your house. If you don't have food in your house, it causes tremendous anxiety. They're called poor regarding tfuah. Shneimar v'hoya im zor Yisrael, v'hoya im zor Yisrael, and uksiv v'yachnu aleihem, uksiv v'yidal Yisrael moed mefnei midyan. So you see, it was because of what? Because of tfuah. But Amar Rav Chel, but l'olam yeh adam zor b'kfayid ishtay. You should be careful with the cover of your wife. Shein bracha mitzvah b'tech beisa shalad emel b'shvel ishtay. Bracha is found in the house because of your wife. Shneimar v'lavram, because Avram hated bavura. It was good because of Sarah. He told Rava was the Rav, the town of Bechuz, he was the Rav. By Kirul and Shasaichu, give cover to your wives, Kihecha, it is asu, that you should become wealthy. Okay, the next piece of Gemara, if not the most famous Agarata in Shas, it's definitely in the top 5. I could say that going out on the limb. It's the Maisa with Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya regarding what we call the Tana Achnoi, the Tana of the snake. It's very, very famous. It's troubling. There's a lot of questions on it, and we'll spend a little time on it. I have some really special mamakoimis that I'm going to go through with you. I'm very excited about it, actually. So, hatzlacha. Okay, now we know the following. We know that a kli cheres is metama from inside. If you take a sheretz, you put it in a kli cheres, and then anything that's within the kli becomes tameh. And the kli itself is tameh, and it's metama anything you put in afterwards. If it's a kli adama or kli glolim, then it doesn't transmit tumah. Kli adama, kli that's made from earth, does not transmit tumah. It doesn't have a shame kli. If you would take a kli cheres and put it back together, right? Using sand. So let's say you have a kli. Let's say it's got rings, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got a bunch of rings, and you take each one apart. So now it's not a kli. You put it back together again. If you don't put anything in it, anything in between the rings, then it has a din of a kli cheres. Taisa speaks out. Everyone would agree, even Rabbi Eliezer. Here, what you did was you supported in between each ring. You put sand. Sand is adama. Rabbi Eliezer paskin that kli had a din of kli adama, and thus anything inside, even if a sheretz went inside, it still would be tahar. That was what he paskin, and they disagreed with him. The rabbim disagreed with him. So Tanan Hassam, chulyus b'nasan chayil, chatchu chulyus. You cut the chulyus. You cut the chulyus of the tanner, and you put chayil in between. Bein chulya lechulya, between each one. Chulya literally is like a vertebrae, but view it, guys, as a cylinder, round cylinders, and you cut them in half, horizontally, and you put them. horizontally, and you put it between choil. Rabbi Eliezer mitaher. Rabbi says it's tahor. It has a din of a kli adama. The chachamim and the chachamim mitamayim. They were mitama. Zehu tanu shel achnai, and this is the tanur of achnai. This is the tanur of achnai, the famous tanur of achnai. My achnai. What is achnai? Rabbi Yehuda Amashmuel shekifu devorim ka'achnazu. They went ahead and they were machaf him with words like this snake, the temu, and they were matamid. If you view a snake, Rashi brings they curl up. The snake curls up. After the kaf, it puts its tail in its mouth, right? So that's it. Tana ba'isa yoim heisha Rebbe Eliezer called tshuva sheba olam. That day, Rebbe Eliezer answered every tshuva in the world to be matar the sovereign. Every question you had in the sovereign, he answered up. In other words, he felt firmly that it's tar. Like kiblu himena, but they didn't listen to him. So the majority held that it's tamei. Lehem, im halacha k'maisi, if the halacha is like me, chorav zeh yochiach, then let this cabbage show. Neka chorav komo, the cabbage mamish jumped up from its place. Meya amma, 100 amma. Be'imilo arba meya sami, even 400 amas. They told him, "Hey, maybe in raya min acharev. You're doing a raya from what from chorav." Chazav Omar. Did I say cabbage? Chorav could be baksa. Could be baksa, guys. I'm sorry. Chorav is cabbage. Chorav is baksa. Sorry, it's a baksa is what's that called in English? Carob, right? Carob. Good. Chazav Om lehem im halacha k'maisi amas hamayim yochiach. Let this canal of water be yochiach. Chazav amas hamayim lachareim. It went backwards. In other words, one after the other, it seems that he's correct because these things are happening. It's not magic. Let the walls of the base medrash prove that. They began to fall in. Rabbi Yeshua began to scream and if Talmidei Chachamim fight each other in learning, atem ativchem, right? What are you doing? It's not your business. It's not your business. We're fighting Allah. The base medrash. What are you getting involved? So loy naflu if they kvoidish Rabbi Yeshua didn't fall down because of the covered vad of Rabbi Yeshua. Didn't fall down because of the covered Rabbi Yeshua. Loy zakfu, but it didn't go back to being straight if they kvoidish Rabbi Eliezer. But dayin matin v'oimdim. So these walls, like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, you had these walls that were leaning in. They didn't go back because of Rabbi Elazar. They didn't fall in because of Rabbi Yeshua. So this unbelievable. Again, we've had many machloikis in, but we don't have this drama. It's a good word. You don't have this drama in this machloikis, right? Said Rabbi Elazar, okay, you don't like anything in this world. You don't like my bakza. You don't like my water. You don't like my base medrash. Let Shemayim decide what the halacha is. So Yotza Baskol v'Omra Malachem Eitzel Rabbi Eliezer Shalacha Kamaisai B'Chol Mokaim. You hear this? Where are you getting involved with Rabbi Eliezer ben Hurkanis that the halacha is like him B'Chol Mokaim? That's what they said. Now, guys, how do you argue with God? How do you argue with God? Omar Rabbi Yeshua El Raglo, the Omar. Loi b'shamayim he. The Torah is not. It was given to Bas Adam. My lo b'shamayim he. Amar Rav Yirmiyah shekvar nosna Torah mehar Sinai. Ein anu mashkichim bebaskol. Shekvar koso bar Sinai b'Torah achrei rabim lahatos. We already decided after rabim lahatos. That's what we decided. So in other words, Rabbi Eliezer, with everything Shemayim said, the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer. Torah la b'shamayim he. So what's the state in Torah? Achrei rabim lahatos. You go after the majority rules. You go after Roiv. We discussed this midaraisa. Batla b'Roiv is achrei rabim lahatos. Okay, now just a side kasha. The Erev in Yud Gimel, the Baskol came out and said the halacha is like Beis Hillel, not Beis Shammai. Let's see Taisvis. Lei b'shamayim he. V'hodam perak hamid yavamis. La halacha Beis Hillel mishum diyotz the Baskol. Shiny hacha shebo lachlik al divrei Torah d'chsiv achrei rabim lahatos. Alhasam adarabba. Beisol ruboy ilav the havi misafkalon iaslina basar roiboy mishun beishamay havi charifi tuva. In other words, there's a reason to go after Beishamay over there, and you would have gone to Beishamay unless for the Baskol. But over here, the Baskol can't go connected to Torah. Over there, it's a svara. We're arguing, but over here, you can't go connected to Torah. That's a different. In other words, if the Baskol is Achriya is one thing, the Baskol going against the Torah, right? So whatever the Gemara is discussing over there, you can't go connected. That's the okay. Let's continue on. Ashchei Reb Nasin Leliyahu. Amalei, my over the Kodesh Baruch Hu b'Yishayta. What's the Kodesh Baruch Hu doing? Amalei kachayich. He's laughing. Hashem is laughing. V'omar nitzchuni banai nitzchuni banai. My children have won over me. My children have won over me. Hashem is laughing at what Rabbi Yeshua said. Guys, I'm modern the Gemara. I'm modern the Gemaras. Mamish, I'm modern the Gemara. Amru, Oisi Ayoim Evir called Tyrus Shatir Rebbe Eliezer. That day they built the tires that Rebbe Eliezer was Matayr. The Sarfim Beish, they burnt them up to show that what that they're Tameh. The Nimnu Love, and they went ahead and they cut together Ubarchuhu, and they put Rebbe Eliezer in Cherem. They put Rebbe Eliezer in Cherem. Amru, Milech V'Yodio, who's going to go and inform Rebbe Eliezer? Amlehem Rebbe Kivani Elech, I'll go. Maybe a person will go who's not Hagan proper, do and will inform him. And the world will be destroyed. Rabbi Akiva, he put on black clothing, and he wrapped himself in a black palace. And he sat at a distance of 4 amas. These are the halach of Nidoy. He sat at a distance away of 4 amas. Amaloi Rebbe Eliezer, said to him, Akiva, my yomi yamam. Why is this day different than the other days? Amalei Rebbe kimedumali shechaverim bedilim imcha. I think your chaverim are separating from you. Afu kara begodav. Rebbe Eliezer also tore his clothing. Choletz minov. He took off his shoes. The nishmat v'yeshel garikaka. He got off his chair and he sat on the ground. Zolguin of the mois, and his eyes, literally tears came out of his eyes. Laka oilam sholosh b'seisim. As a result of the tears of Rebbe Eliezer, the third of the olive in the worlds were destroyed. V'shlish b'chitim, a third of the chitim of the wheat. V'shlish b'sayim, a third of the barley. V'yeshayim af batzek shebeyedei isha tafach. Even the dough in the troughs were ruined. Tana ach gadol hoya b'isayim shebechol makam shenasam b'einav Rebbe Eliezer nisraf. Every place they looked was af gadol. It was tremendous anger. That he looked. Bafra Bigamliel Hoya Baba Smina Rabbi Gil was coming on a boat. Amar Allah of Nachshal Tavai, and he was going to be sunken by a wave. This happened as a result of the pain we call Rebbe Eliezer ben Horkenes. Amar al Raglav Amar Rabban Shloilam. Goli Vidul Lefnecha Shloilach for the Asisi. Rabbi Gamliel is the one who put him in Cherem, fellas. He's the one who put him in Cherem. And he says, I didn't do it for my covet, not for the covet of David HaMelech. I did it for your covet. I did it that Machloikis should not increase in Klal Yisrael. And then the sea became quiet. Ima Shalom, the beside of Eliezer. Ima Shalom was the wife of Rebbe Eliezer. Achte de Rebbe Gamliel, she was the sister of Rebbe Gamliel. So Rebbe Gamliel and Rebbe Eliezer ben Horkenes were brother-in-laws. They were brother-in-laws. Having from that time onwards, from that time to now, you see from here that they kept him in Cherem. From that time onwards, they kept in Cherem. She did not allow Rebbe Eliezer to go ahead and say Tachman. Right, not to say Tachman. Now, the Chayra, it doesn't mean never to say Tachman. The best shall be because she can't possibly stay around him every single second. So it's Tachman right after Shmon Esrei, when we say Tachman, right after Shmon Esrei. So she would stay there at that time to make sure that he wouldn't say Tachman. She'd make sure he wouldn't say Tachman because she was worried what might happen to her family, to her brother, as a result if he said Tachman. That day was Rosh Chodesh. I have over here, written over this, Rabbi Avi, in 2009, this stuff that was learned on Rosh Chodesh Tammuz. So now what happened was, the Ichleflei being Molei v'chaser. She blew it. She thought the month was a chaser. So she thought that it was Rosh Chodesh, that they lamed was Rosh Chodesh, and therefore Rabbi Eliezer would not say what? Tachnan. But really it was a Molei, and Rosh Chodesh was on the 31st. So he was going to say Tachnan on the 30th. So she blew it. Ikadiyami Asa Anya came along and Ani, Pikoy Abava, knocked on the door. Afikele Rifta, she gave him some bread. Ashachase the Nefalalampe, she came and found the mat saying Tachnan. Amrale, she said to him, Kum Katalislachi, get up, you're going to kill my brother. At the Haki Nafik, Pura came an announcement, the base of Gamliel, the Shachat, that he Taka died. This mice is unbelievable. Amala Manoya Das, how do you know he's dead? Amalei, Kachme Kablani Bes Abi Ovid Kola Hasharim Nenolim Chutz Mishariyana. And this is how we got into this Gemara in the first place, fellas, right? All the Naorim are except Sharayna. So I knew that what the shar is open and it's subject to what to the his tefillas, his pain being heard. Okay, let's finish the Mishnah and then we'll best Hashem go over to Maisa. Tanabanan, Hamanas Ager, someone who paints a ger, Oiva B'Shleisha Lavin. About Leitzloi, someone who's malachitz, that's in Dine Mom, that you're collecting money from him, a loan from him, Oiva B'Shnayim. Ma'ishna Ma'ana D'chsiv Shloish Lavin, V'ger Leisoina, V'chi Yogar Itcha Ger, Bartzchem Leisonu Oisoi, Leisonu Ish Esamisoi, V'ger B'Chalamisoi, that's 3 times. Like Tsunami, Shloish Kasiv, Leisa Chatzenu, V'ger Leisichlas, Leisi Elokin V'ger B'Chalu. So when it comes to going ahead and claiming your money also, so why 3 and 2? It should be 3 and 3. Al echad zev echad zev b'shleisha. Tanya Rabbi Eliezer God loymeth. Leima his hero Torah belamid vav b'kaimis v'imrila v'memma v'kaimis b'ger neisha surura v'mad yichsev b'ger leisayna leisachat senu ki ger miyisem eretz Yisrael. Tanya Rabbi Nassan loymeth mum shebachal tam milchabercha. You also were a mum. You know, it's if you have an issue, don't go ahead and make fun of other person, but you have the same issue. Right? Damiyanshi the zakav leisakifa. Someone had a member in their family that was hung by the yuksei in his family. Someone that mailing family, hang the fish. In other words, to stay away from saying the lashon of hang, even at kedekach, to go ahead and remind it. Okay, so just to answer a few kashas. So this first marmokin, fellas, I didn't post. It's in Masechta Kalim, Perik Hey, Oisvav in the Boaz. You have the Mishnayos Yochin and Boaz. So this is the Boaz Simin Vav in Perik Hey of Masechta Kalim, where it discusses the halachas of the Tana. So the big question over here is: you have many machlokas in Shas between Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yeshua. You have many machlokas in. Why over here all the drama? Why is this different than any other machlokas that we have in Shas, and we don't have this? And the Ramban wants to say that Rabbi Eliezer was being machzik in the machlokas because he did not go ahead and give in to them, and he was going against the halacha of achrei rabbim lahatais. So it's one thing to argue. You argue in svara. You say this, I say this. But he was undermining a linchpin of Yiddishkeit, a yesod of Yiddishkeit, which is achrei rabbim lahatais, that you go after the majority. And we'll see in a second, we'll see the next marmokum I'm going to bring, how important it is to keep the halacha of achrei rabbim lahatais. So he was undermining a yesod of Yiddishkeit, and because of that, because he kept going against achrei rabbim lahatais, therefore they put him in chayrim rather than other machloikasin which were not going against this yesod. That's the Ramban. Now the Ramban even went go as far to say that he would have been judged as a zakin mamre. You hear this? He would have been, had it been bismana bias, he would have been judged as zakin mamre, whose din is b'misa ad kedei kach. The Boaz, he says the reason why they put him in Chayrim is if you were there, you would have gone after Rabbi Eliezer. He went ahead and you saw the moifsim that were happening, the baksa and the water and the walls and the shemayim, the baskol. In other words, there were so many reasons to agree with him. So because all these moifsim were happening, one would be prone to go follow his halacha regarding the Tanarach Noi, and therefore what? It was necessary to put him a chayrim to go ahead and circumvent those bias that came with him. Now the question is, why don't they matter it afterwards? You have some you say Rabbi Eliezer Shamuti who? So there's 2 pshatim. One that he's a follower of Shammai. The other one is Shamuti that he's in chayrim. That he's in chayrim. They never took it off. They never took off his chayrim. Why not? Why don't you take off the chayrim? So he wants to say a big chiddush that a person who's menuda by a nasi, he's menuda l'chol Yisrael. And generally, you can go ahead and 3 people can come ahead and take off a nidoy. The problem he said over here was you would need the nasi to take off the nidoy. But as we saw from the end of the Maisa, the nasi was dead. He was dead. He died. So he wasn't available to take it off. And therefore, Rabbi Eliezer could have been Mavakesh to take it off. And they could have wanted to take it off. But since the nasi had died, it's Mechadish to Boyaz, they couldn't take it off. So that would go ahead and deal a little bit with the peripheral questions. But the main question that I had over here is that it seems to be just the drama over here is just humongous. What's the underlying Yisrael? What was the problem over here? So I give you the words of the Sefer HaChinuch. I give you the words of the Sefer HaChinuch. It's going on the pasuk Leisasim Mimenu Yom L'Smoil, that if they paskin, you shouldn't go after right or left. You should not go ahead and change. You shouldn't go right or left. Whatever the Rabbanan paskin, that's what it is. What does that mean? Afilu yomer l'cha al yamin shel smol. Even they tell you right is left, leisasim mitzvasam. Do not leave their mitzvahs. Kloimar shafil liu heim toyim bedavar. Even when they make a mistake, they're telling you make a right turn and it's a left turn. Even if they make a mistake, ein roi lanu laflik alehem. You shouldn't go ahead and go ahead and argue on them. Aval nase kita'usam. It's go after their mistake. V'toiv lispel tois achas. Better to blow it one time. V'yu akol mesurim tachas daitam atoy v'tamid. And as a result, go after their das, which is good, all the other times. And not that every person could do is according to what they think. That would destroy Yiddishkeit. The chilik leva adam, the hefsed of umalagami would be totally lost. Says the Sefer HaMitzvahs, says the Sefer HaChinuch guys. He says an unbelievable thing. He says it a little bit before, and this is the build-up. Why is it? How is it possible, we as Jews, that we know all the different opinions? Think about all the machlokes. This one does 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 this, that. What's to keep us centralized that there's at least one Yiddishkeit? How's that possible? How's it possible to keep that centralized? It's only because we have the Chachamim. It's all our Amunas Chachamim and following our Chachamim. They decide what the letter of the law is. And by doing that and keeping to the letter of the law, we're assured that it's going to stop Machlokes Yisrael from happening. And even if the Chachamim blow it once in a while, Hashem says go after that. You know why? Because it'll guarantee you go after them most of the time when they're right. Because if you don't go after them when they blow it, you may not go after them when they don't blow it. And believe you me, most of the time they don't blow it. So if they say right, go left. They're wrong, I don't care, because I want you to go after them when they're wrong to ensure that you go after them when they're right. That's the Sefer HaChinuch. And he uses this concept beautifully to explain our Gemara, guys. He uses this concept beautifully to explain our Gemara. Let's go on. Umifnei inyanim elu nimsra kavanas haTorah el chachmei Yisrael v'nitztavu gam heim sheyu loylam hakat hamuetes min hachachamim, the kat that is the minority, kafufo lekara murubim, that they should go ahead and be machnia themselves to the majority. And Asher says that because of this reason. U'kamesha kasafti sham b'mitzvus lahatais achrei rabim. Valderech inyan zeh sharaticha b'ni. Again, the Sefer Chinuch wrote it for his son. And according to what I've gone ahead and aroused for you, afarish lecha agoda achas shehi b'ba Metzia b'seif Perek Hazav. I'll explain to you an agoda that is one in Perek Hazav. Gabe hu ma'aseh Rabbi Eliezer agoda b'tanur shel achnai hamatamis kol shoyma. Anyone who goes ahead and reads it is matama. Amru shom ashkechei Reb Nosson Eliyahu v'kulu amulam ma'ovid kutcha brichu ba'hi shaita. What's he doing? Amalei chayechi is laughing. V'amar nitzchuni banai kloimar she'Kodesh Baruch Hu sameach al shehayu banav holchim b'derech ha'Torah mitzvasa lahatais achrei rabim. Kodesh Baruch Hu's happy. Why is he happy? That they're going after the rabbim, even though Hashem said they're wrong. Hashem said you're wrong. Halacha k'Reb Eliezer b'chol makom. Said Rabbi Yeshua, Torah Lev Shemayim he. V'amra Torah achrei rabim lahatois. Says Hashem nitzchuni. Kloima shaya kodesh baruch hu sameach. Al shahayu bon of holchim b'derech ha-Torah v'mitzvos. To go after what the Torah wants. Lahatois achrei rabim, to go after the majority. Umasham nitzchuni banai. Chalila liyos nitzchun lefan of baruch hu. Chas v'shalom. We can be victorious over Hashem. Al pirush adavahu. Al inyan zeh. Shebemachloikes hazois. Shahaya Rabbi Eliezer im Chaveroi. Ha'emes haya kreb Eliezer. Uchedibri abaskol shechriya k'maisai. Ve'afal pisha hoisa emes itay bezeh. Even though his emes was with him, be'yisrain pilpuloi al Chaveroi, in his being overcoming them with his pilpula, with his sharpness, la yardu l'seif daitoi. They didn't agree. The le'ratzu l'hoidus l'dvarav. They were so happy. Hashem was happy that they were going after. They didn't give in to Rabbi Eliezer because they went after the rabbim. I feel achabaskol even after the baskol. Think about the gedul it took for Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya, the Av Bezdin. Rabbi Yeshua was the Av Bezdin. Rabbi Galil was the Nasi. Rabbi Yeshua was the Av Bezdin. That he said Torah l'v'shamayim. Think about the backbone it took to do that. Hashem was laughing. Nitzchuni that they kept that because he knew ultimately that keeping this case, even though it's a mistake, is going to ensure what the Klal Yisrael keeps the Torah for eternity. The view Rayman I think hakfu b'Torah shetzivanu lechas achei rabim olam ben yom uemes ayafilu toyim even a mistake. Yalzeh choshev abaruch hu shnitzchuni banai kloimar achashem noitim b'nerech emes, even though they're noitim from the truth and they're wrong. Rabbi Eliezer who hayam mechavim b'zel emes because Rabbi Eliezer was correct. Nonetheless, they're coming along the Torah that I commanded them, the Shmaya Allah Roiv La'ilam, to listen to the majority, and Cain, I'll call upon him, Yesh Lachoides Lahem, Bepamazois Kedevrehem, go ahead and admit to them this time, Nitzchuni, Shetea Emes Nederes, the Emes should be missing. Why? Because it's going to ensure the eternity of Torah through Achim Rab Lahatais. Ilu Bala Emes Netzuach, it's like the Bala Emes is Netzuach, the one that Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's if the Bala Emes is Netzuach. So if the one who's true, meaning Kadosh Baruch Hu, was the Bala Emes is Netzuach, even though you weren't, even though. But since as a result of this, they're going to keep the Torah as Achir Mahatais and Mela. Guys, Peladik, no? Peladik.
Yeah, where's that chinuch? Where's that chinuch?
Tough
Tzadik Vav, would you say?
Tough Tzadik Vav. Pella. Definitely bloggable stuff. This is guys, it's an unbelievable thing. Think about it. They're wrong. The Baskal says you're wrong. And Rabbi Yeshua stands up and says, I don't care. I'm not going to listen. Because it goes connected to Torah. Hashem knows if you keep the Torah, he built it in the system. That if you keep Acharav Lahatais, for sure, to eternity, the Torah will be there. Chas v'shalom, you begin to pick and choose. The Torah becomes scattered and all over the place. Like Sasa, the Rav, Yamnu Small, right, left to right. Bez Hashem tomorrow morning, she'll be probably about, I guess 9:30, I guess would be okay. I'll call out 9:30. Get your ribbis hats on. Okay.